A big hello and a very warm welcome to a special showing right here from the Cannes Lions. I'm Sonali Krishna and I'm joined by a very special guest. He heads global partnerships for Twitter. His name is Madati, and I believe you're the man who is, people are betting on to change the fortunes at Twitter.
Not the only one. There's a whole team here, but yes.
But you've spent just about 2 years at Twitter.
Yeah.
How would you evaluate the Twitter business, from an outside-in perspective?
I'd say that the company, we're heading in the right direction. We're seeing a lot of strength in our business in lots of different ways. In the area that I oversee, which is content specifically and partnerships with our content partners, we're seeing an enormous amount of strength around the world and also in APAC and even in India. I saw a stat the other day that the Indian market, video consumption is growing exponentially. And against that audience, we're seeing the same kind of growth and excitement for consumption of premium video content on our platform as well.
Right. And what do you think is the big change, that you brought in the last 2 years from a revenue standpoint?
No, I think we've had a heavy focus in making sure that we're growing audience in the marketplace, making sure that their users are finding their experiences on the platform valuable and information. But on the content perspective, we've worked really prescriptively in the categories of news, sports, and entertainment to really try to go out and work with partners who can bring premium content to the platform and marry it to the conversation that's happening around that content on Twitter.
Right, and you've been the man who's also said that the traditional business is not our enemy, maybe frenemies, but so you've actually leveraged the old school business and married that pretty well in Twitter. And I have a very fundamental question, and video is growing everywhere globally and of course in our market as well. But what about the monetization? And this is really a larger question before I tune it down to what Twitter's doing.
Yeah. Well, let's start with what you said a few seconds ago. I absolutely believe that we are complementary to our content partners. I'm not interested in approaching the space as a competitor. We work in a partnership infrastructure. We want to go to somebody who has the rights around a cricket game or a football match and say we can make that bigger. We can make that entire experience for our fans, our users, and as well as our advertisers that much better by tying that to the conversation that's happening on our platform. And in that way, we are friend, not foe, to our media publishers and our content producers. On the monetization specifically, there is no question when somebody invests an inordinate amount of money around acquiring sports rights or entertainment rights to something, that they have to think about how they can extend the value proposition around this. Our deal and partnership infrastructure emphasizes that. We are just as interested in making sure that our partners, when they stream that content onto our platform, have a share in the advertising proposition and the value proposition around brands. And so we've been able to grow the business within that framework. And I think the proof speaks for itself. We have, I think now globally, almost 950 different partners that we're working with. We see that energy and momentum keep going. And we've been lucky that around the world, the best and most renowned content publishers want to work with us.
Yeah, so give me a sense, from a layman's standpoint, just to elucidate what you just said, what's your pitch to advertisers?
To advertisers, number one is you need to be aligned with our influential audiences. We have people on the platform who are engaged, they're leaned in, they're not just consuming the content in a laid-back fashion. They are involved, they are sharing, they're distributing, they're commenting. You as an advertiser want to be tied to that conversation. So if it's the India-Pakistan cricket game going on our platform there is a massive conversation happening with fans, and advertisers want to be engaged in and around the property in that way. That's the main pitch, that putting your advertising around this execution on our platform ties you to the momentum and the conversation that's going on in the world.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know, how advertisers look at, let's say, a pitch from you and a pitch from the other social behemoths. What would be the main differentiation? Because there's conversation happening everywhere.
Yeah.
There is also, content being shared everywhere. So, how is, and as more and more, as all of you focus on video,
Yeah.
like all platforms, it's not like the good old days where I could post a video and the shareability across platforms was so easy. Unlike today's day, because, you will only promote your video, they will promote their video. So it's getting much more complex.
Yes. I would say that our unique value proposition, so I'm going to push back a little bit on some of what you said.
Sure, of course.
Our unique value proposition in that marketplace, more than any other platform, definitively, when something happens in the world, it happens first on Twitter. When a goal is scored in the World Cup, when there's an excellent cricket match, the conversation that lights up happens first on Twitter. And so for that period of time, if you want to be in the zeitgeist, moving with culture, attached to the people who are influencing culture and driving conversation, Twitter does it better than anybody else. It's the platform where real-time engagement with users happens in and around the things that are happening in the world, whether it's an elections, whether it's a sporting event, whether it's a Hollywood movie premiere, it happens first on Twitter.
Okay, and you're saying it may happen first, but I'm saying, what about the multiple conversations that are happening in any case across, social platforms? What is the argument that, one is giving to that?
I think broadly, without talking about other platforms that just focusing on Twitter, broadly, consumer content consumption is happening in a multi-platform world. The idea that you would just watch it on television doesn't exist anymore.
Sure.
And so if you're an advertiser, you want to be able to follow the momentum across multiple platforms. I think when you're thinking about it in that way, Twitter has a unique value proposition in the space. That's not to say that you can't consume the content or variations of the content in different places. And we work very prescriptively with our content partners to make sure that whatever we're doing is unique, is valuable, and creates an experience that aligns with how people are consuming video on our platform. So I think if you're experiencing the India-Pakistan cricket game on Twitter, it's a unique experience that can't be replicated anywhere else. We work really prescriptively to make sure that whatever the content is that's streaming onto the platform aligns with how our product works.
So could you elucidate that for me? Give me an example.
Yeah, real-time highlights. We're working with some of our partners to do shows behind every single match.
Which would be unique, you mean on the platform?
Yes.
And not just snippets of what's already being seen on TV?
That's exactly right. So we are working hand in hand to develop exactly what that content opportunity is, and then making sure it executes and iterates on the platform in the right way.
Right. You recently said that Twitter is a must-buy, and you're also saying that you're able to give back to publishers as much as 60%. Explain that to me. What does that mean?
Did I actually say that?
You did say it's a must-buy.
It is. I did say that. That's absolutely true, for sure. So Twitter is a must-buy. If you want to engage in real time, in and around the actual content execution and what's going on in the world, there's no way that as an advertiser that you're going to miss the opportunity of marrying the masses of conversation that happens on our platform. I keep talking about the India-Pakistan game because it's fresh in my mind. There were 2.9 million tweets in and around that game alone. If you're an advertiser, you want to be wrapped around that experience. You want to be attached to how culture and the conversation is happening on our platform. Associated with that is the monetization opportunity that we present to our partners. They want to also be compensated and make sure that their business models work about creating that content and putting it onto the platform. So when you marry those two paradigms, that's the real value proposition about Twitter. That's why we're a must-buy, and that's why we should be working with most of our content partners.
Two rejoinders to what you just said, but one, I believe Twitter payouts to publishers have increased by as much as 60% in 2018. I'd be curious to know why that's happened, what's been the big trigger, and what's been different in 2018, versus the previous years.
Yeah, and so that's a global statistic.
Yep.
Working across the business.
Sure.
We have just seen the business grow. That number I expect to grow again for 2019. We're working with more partners. We're working across a variety of categories beyond the regular. And as I look at the different markets that we're going into, we are increasing even the relationships that we've had with partners. We are doing more with them, and we are thinking more creatively about what those opportunities. So the number, the 60% increase year over year, is just a measuring stick to how much more we are doing in and around premium video content around the world.
And I'd also be curious to know, when you do have that content, that premium content on your platform, and you get advertisers on board, you're technically serving up the ad the same traditional way, right?
Pre-roll.
Pre-roll.
Yes.
So yeah, so there's no, so it's a pre-roll and then it's your content.
Yes.
So right. So how are marketers or advertisers chatting with you about the efficacy of the pre-roll?
Yeah, I think we've had a lot of success in showing that we can actually deliver the eyeballs against that content. People wouldn't be coming back and buying these opportunities if they didn't feel like they were actually engaging with millions of people in and around the content execution. We've had no pushback on that at all. In fact, people are much more excited to be able to be married to something that's being talked about, and it's a seminar opportunity out in culture.
Absolutely, and I agree with you, and I'm sure the views are showing up. But I think the larger question, which I think marketers are asking, is that, sure, I may get so many million views, how am I sure that that's converting in the marketplace for me? So how am I measuring that my exercise with you, or for that matter anybody else, is actually delivering in the marketplace? That conversion.
Yeah, I think those are all fair questions about what the brand strategies are. We find that a lot of our advertisers want to be married to the thing that people are talking about in the world. So if it's the cricket game, or if it's the World Cup soccer, these are things that people, that users and our fans are passionate about, and the conversations are being perpetuated across the platform. And I think marrying a brand to that conversation and participating in that zeitgeist is what is the value proposition for advertisers.
You have to agree with me that the world is a much more confused place today. So what is the conversation you're getting from marketers? What's their key concerns today? Where are they standing in the larger scheme of things? I mean, in Cannes itself, over the years, the conversation has moved and yet not moved, and it keeps oscillating. I don't think anybody has the answers. But, what are you hearing from key marketers?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's been on a lot of people's minds in the last 12 months has been brand safety. Is my advertising and is my sponsorship aligned with content that is safe and that I would be proud to be around? The beauty about our execution is that we work so prescriptively with our content publishers. We can be very specific about what that content is and what you're going to be next to. So we actually have had no issues at all with any of these brand safety concerns, but it is one of the big concerns that I've heard from advertisers, that they want to be sure that the things that they're sponsoring are safe for their brand to be around.
Okay, but I mean, then again, one could also state that you actually have no control about what the commentary or the narrative is, in and around any particular content, exercise, anything that you put out, because it's a democratic world out there, so you have no real control.
I think the commentary might be true, but if the association is actually marrying the premium content to some of that conversation, and we have to think about it when we're doing a Bollywood premiere or a cricket match, the majority of the conversation is fandom. People who are passionate about the sport, or passionate about what's going on, or passionate about a goal that was just scored. So a lot of the conversation that you see in and around our content executions happens to be very, very positive. So we haven't really had that many issues where things have gone awry.
In terms of video growth, globally,
yeah.
Where are you seeing the video growth most dramatic in terms of spikes in growth?
Are you talking about markets? Which markets are growing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Consistently, I'll throw out a global stat for Twitter. Our video ad revenue is now almost 50% of our total revenue. This continues to grow and scale. So we're seeing strength and growth around video as it becomes more and more the currency for how people are communicating and engaging in and around, not just on our platform, but in general. We're seeing all markets experience the same amount of growth. India is no different than Australia, than London, than the US, where we see video just scaling around us. So that's our opportunity. That's actually why we're excited about being in the content game and partnering with people. We want to make sure that we have a value proposition that people find exciting, and to be able to follow the same trends and present the same opportunities to our advertisers and our users.
So it's 50% right now, and this is a global stat, I understand. And you see that figure obviously grow, in the coming years. Would you like to, predict as to what is the kind of number you're going to see going forward in terms of, the video contribution in the whole Twitter revenue model?
So, if I could read the future, I would be able to tell you. I think that there's no question that video will continue to be a strong part of our business. It's not the only part of our business, and clearly we make money in other ways as well. But a video is a way that we're presented to both advertisers and consumers as a way to engage on a platform. I think that will continue to grow.
Are you observing, consumer behavior, which is different in terms of video consumption, in different markets, or is it broadly homogenous?
Around our premium video content, we're seeing the same kinds of user behavior. People, let's not forget that Twitter is here to inform and serve the public conversation. So in the way that it executes on our platform, people tend to come to Twitter to see what's going on in the world, and then to be able to participate in the conversation they're generating. So the user behavior on a market-by-market basis is the same.
I'd be curious to know about, what are the hot global content partnerships you've recently inked?
Yeah. Right now, the Women's World Cup is going on here in France, as you well know. And on a global basis, this is a sport that captures the minds of people around the world.
Yep.
Soccer and football on our platform is one of the most talked about and tweeted about subjects and topics. So we have a variety of partnerships with different publishers around the world, from Australia to the UK to the US, where we are engaging in and around bringing premium content and highlights and clips to the platform in and around the software.
Do you have a target on user growth?
I think we're excited to see the platform grow and more people around the world continue to use it. We don't really focus on specific targets on a market-by-market basis, but Twitter is growing, and we're excited that more people are using the platform.
Could you give me the exact figure in terms of number of users on the platform today?
So we measure it by MDAU, and we have 100.
What is MDAU?
Monetizable daily active users.
Okay.
Okay. We measure it by monetizable daily active users, and we have 134 million users. That's about an 11% year-over-year growth.
Where are you witnessing most growth? Which geography?
No, I think most of our there's growth across the platform in all regions, but the real opportunity I think we're going to see is international, outside of the U.S.
Of course.
And those are the real opportunity markets. We're excited what's going on in APAC. We're excited what's going on in South America in different places, and we're seeing a lot of momentum in all of those markets.
Would you say Asia today would be the largest growing audience for Twitter?
I think it's a heavy focus for us at Twitter. We see a lot of opportunity here, particularly in India, where we have such a passionate and growing user base. APAC is a focus for us.
Yeah, in terms of new innovative formats that you'd have to introduce, not only globally but in growing markets such as ours as well. Give me some sense as to what we'll see, in the coming in the future.
Yeah, we've already started to work with some of our partners in how they bring the content to the platform. Yeah. Live streams have always been very, very popular and very effective for engaging people in the conversation. But we're also finding that when we actually clip up some of that content and create it in smaller bite-sized units to be distributed across the country, that consumption can scale exponentially. So we're working with our partners to be able to not just live stream things, but also to clip things up in different kinds of formats and different kinds of cadences that help perpetuate the conversation on the platform.
Right. And how are you talking to partners who, let's say, are are serving ads on your platform in terms of ensuring that the content that is served up, as an ad, is a hook and not the same old, stereotypical advertising format.
Yeah, most of the partners who work with us understand that in order to be relevant in the conversation, that you cannot just retask a television spot and put it onto the platform.
Exactly.
So we're working, again, hand in hand with many of the advertisers who want to be associated with this to create custom content and advertising messages that resonate with how the platform works and how people consume on the platform. So it's a part and parcel with if you decide that Twitter is the right strategy for your marketing strategies, that you would sit down and customize specific kinds of ad executions on the platform.
What's your biggest concern at the moment?
No, I think as I look at the opportunities, we have only just begun to scratch the surface, which is a good place to be. We've had a lot of wins, and we can showcase some great successes with some partnerships. I think that there's an opportunity for us to think about different kinds of content categories. There's more that we can be doing around the world, beyond sports, and beyond news and elections. We can be doing a little bit more in entertainment. But these are exciting opportunities as we think about who are the partners we can work with to do that.
Right. If I had to ask you, in terms of Twitter's key proposition, how it has changed and transformed itself from, let's say, from a 10-year, if you look at it from a 10-year, phase, what would you say?
I'd say that we are very, very clear about two very specific things. Number one, when something happens in the world, it happens first on Twitter. That this is the platform that people go to participate in the public conversation and the public dialogue. And then secondly, our audience is not a passive lean-back audience. Our users are involved and engaged at shaping culture and driving culture, and that is the real opportunity. When you marry those two things together, that we can be an information delivery and discovery platform with our engaged and passionate users, and then you wrap video content into that conversation, that's when the magic really happens.
I really love the way you keep saying that our audience is not a lean-back audience. Which audience, according to you, is a laid-back audience? I'm really curious to know.
I think that there are different viewing behaviors in and around content.
Right.
And we know from our research, our users are leaned in and engaged. Other platforms have different value propositions.
You want to tell me which ones?
I have no idea.
Thank you so much, Kay. Lovely meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank you.